Okay, so after the introduction, which was just making some fun, we start with properly with lesson 3. In lesson 3, the students attending to the course, they've been for the last week doing the 2 practices we taught them last week. They have done a couple of chants. They have a CD with a chant. Probably many of them have used it at least once because people like the chant a lot. They have the UK 8411 satsang. We have given them the satsang without any major introduction, just like this is a gift, you can listen to it, that's all. So many people will have listened to it, will have been attracted to the words of Guru Raj. Maybe they will do some questions. And also they've been practicing this discipline, this first discipline, the first week saying good morning, goodbye to the day, the second week saying good morning, then doing this small prayer, Guru Shakti like meditation, then saying thank you for the day, then retiring, going to sleep. So they've been 2 weeks doing this small practice. And there we come to the third week, and we start reviewing the technique they've been doing. Time of reviewing this first practice comes, and they will in fact continue somehow doing this same first practice with a little change that I will explain later. But this first practice is very important because it will be an introduction to Guru Shakti, and we introduce this by speaking about prayer. It is really very rare to find someone in a course that has not ever prayed. Everybody has prayed sometime, particularly when they've been in problems, in deep problems. In fact, if there are people attending to the course that are going through some kind of personal problems, it is quite probable that they will pray. This first practice, in fact, is based on putting your life, putting your problems, putting everything that worries you, putting that bunch of impressions you are at the feet of God, like in Guru Shakti. This means that the students, like within a prayer, to whichever is their way they conceive God or relate to the idea of God, pray, a prayer like my life is this and that and everything that one would tell about his life, and would put that problem in front of that consciousness, which is manifested there, and all the time, but particularly at that moment when you sit down to meditate and you have lit the candle, and you put that in front of that God, in front of that consciousness, and then you do, this is the first step of this practice, and then comes the second step. The second step of this practice is the one that might be more difficult for the people to do and understand, and the check of this technique from previous week should emphasize on this, is based on, after doing this, after putting your life at the feet of God, just waiting in silence for that consciousness to just let you know, give you an answer, guide you. In fact, the final aim of this practice is that that consciousness guides you throughout the life of one day. But we start by here. And this will gradually become Tratak, and eventually will become the prep technique, and eventually will become into Guru Shakti. But we do this step by step, little by little. We take the flame and just drive it very slowly to the person to lit his cigarette. as we check and review this technique with everyone, we take notes from each of one. They should have given their photographs first, because that will help you to identify names, people and faces. And this information is the information I use as the base to make their mantras. In other words, I get an idea where I can focus properly. Well, that's that. After reviewing this technique, the morning technique, the evening technique, as you might remember, is just this kind of Thanksgiving practice. So we keep it simple for the moment. We continue with the chant, and after the chant we start with the satsang that is the answer to the question that we were left with last week, which was, in this state of circumstances I am, with this depression, with this situation in which I've got involved, in this process of how did I come about to be here and now, at this very moment, in this course, obviously now, is there a way out for that? And then we are going to, this time, work with a satsang of Guru Raj that we will introduce, and we will put bits and pieces of this satsang. Now, when introducing the satsang, it's also the first time that we somehow officially introduce Guru Rajananda. And we present ourselves as disciples of Guru Rajananda.
Good. What shall we talk about today?
Beloved Guru Raj, you have said that we carry the memory of millions of years of experience in our subconscious minds. From a practical point of view, how many of these experiences can we free ourselves of in one life, even with the help of spiritual practices? In addition, how can we know when we have burnt off all of the samskaras that underlie a particular problem pattern in our lives?
Mm-hmm. All the millions of impressions and experiences that we have gathered through all these millions of years, can we get rid of them all in one life? Yes. Next question. And how would you know that all your sanskaras are gone? Good. Let's start with the first part first. Now, all these millions of experiences that we have had, all the impressions that we have had, as we have discussed before, forms what is known as our ego. Now, no one on earth, not the greatest man that has ever lived, including Krishna, Christ or Buddha, could get rid of all the sanskaras. They could only have clarity as far as 98%. The 2% has to be left in order to give them personality, so that they could be conscious of themselves. So if anyone tells you that such and such a person is a perfect man, do not believe it. Because if you were a perfect man, then you would not have this body. You got to have that 2% imperfection. You got to have that 2% sense of I-ness to carry this body, and what carries this body is the ego self.